I keep my goals to myself, cause whenever I share it with folks, they get a look upon their face and their memory floats to a time where their goals and the stars.
What's good? Let's get into NXT from April the 7th, 2026. This was a pretty okay show. This was basically a setup for a 2-week special that they're going to do, which is called NXT Revenge, which is basically NXT's version of Backlash. The reason why they're doing this is, 1, to boost ratings, which is fine, and 2, NXT knows that it's going to be a bunch of call-ups post-Mania. That's why they're doing this. So I expect there to be a lot of call-ups. So get ready for that. That should be a fun time. And I think that we'll probably get some people from Evolve caught up to NXT. So that should be fun. All right, let's go ahead and get into the show. So we kicked the show off with Tony D'Angelo. Apparently, for whatever reason, he wasn't advertised for the show, which I have no idea why. I guess that was a mistake on WWE's part, but it is what it is. So Tony D gets a good reaction. He gets on the mic. He says that he's now the man, and finally he has become NXT champion. He pointed out that he was the first ever Grand Slam champion in NXT history, which is great, and that is true. He's won every title. Tony said that he's got an iron grip on the title, and there's nothing that nobody can do about it and take it from him. Not Ethan Page, Ricky Saints, nor Joe Hendry. So Joe Hendry shows up. He gets a good reaction. So he congratulated Tony D and says that he was the better man on one night. A night when we had to deal with 2 of these clowns, referring to Ethan Page and Ricky Saints. Joe Hendry said that he wasn't there. If he wasn't there, maybe we'd be still singing that we believe. So Ethan Page shows up, gets an okay reaction, and said, if anything, he should be celebrating, but thanks to his so-called friend, we now have a knockoff Punisher as the champion. That's nice. So Ricky Saints shows up, and he said that he just put his title, his little ego aside. Everyone would look at him as a 2-time NXT champion. Tony told them all to get in line because the outcome will be the same. He'll beat all their asses. So Darkstate, they show up for whatever reason, and there's a brawl that ensues. So this is kind of weird. I have no idea why they went to commercial. They were brawling through commercial. So we come back from commercial, and Robert Stone basically told Team NXT to get their gear on because it's going to be an 8-man tag. And I'm like, what the hell? This makes no sense. So it is what it is. Whatever. I mean, this is fine. Hank and Tank and Dante Chen, they were there for whatever reason trying to talk to Robert Stone. That's kind of weird. I thought Dante Chen was still on Evolve. I thought he was on Evolve. We haven't seen him in a long time. A long time. It's been months. Probably even well over a year since we've seen Dante Chen. Honestly, I thought he got quietly released. I'm not even gonna hold you up. I'm serious about that shit, guys. I thought he got quietly released. But he's still there. All right, moving on. This leads us into Sol Ruca versus Izzy Dame. Izzy Dame defeats Sol Ruca with help from Zaria. Match was pretty decent, as per usual, because I'm a fan of both Sol Ruca and Izzy Dame. So towards the end of the match, Sean Spears tried to get involved, and Sol Ruca fought them off. And so Zaria speared Sol Ruca out of nowhere. I guess she was in the crowd, and she speared Sol Ruca. threw her back into the ring, and she got a really decent reaction. So, Izzy Dame, she hit the Dame over for the 1-2-3. So the sky high power bomb that she does, the sky high that she does, that's fine. And then Zaria, she yells at Sol Ruca saying that I say when this ends, and then she kissed her on the forehead, and then she shoved her head into the mat. Okay, that's fine. So their feud is still not over and done with, which is fine. So that's good. Again, this match was fun. I enjoyed it. Sol Ruca is clearly main roster ready, and whenever her and Zaria do face each other again, which they probably will face each other, probably I think it's week 2 of NXT Revenge, then Sol Ruca should clearly lose that match, and then go off to the main roster. She's ready. She's ready for the main roster. She doesn't need to be there anymore, right? She really doesn't. She's ready. She's been NXT Women's North American Champion. She's been, the Speed Champion. So she's had a couple titles. Like, she doesn't have to win the main title for the women's division to say that she's main roster ready. Sol Ruca's main roster ready. And again, this allows for other women to step up. And I think Sol Ruca would do well on the main roster. I could see her being IC champion for the women. I could also see her being women's US champion as well. So you could even say that she could be she could hold either one of the women's world titles. So Sol Ruca's damn sure ready, and I can't wait. So she's ready though. And Zaria needs to be pushed. And it seems like they're finally going to give her a push. It feels that way. All right, moving on from that, this leads us into the Vanity Project. They were backstage. They were talking to Robert Stone when Mariah May showed up. So, VP, they had decorated a belt to give to Mariah May. So that was sweet and ladylike. And Dark and Evil on the other. And proclaimed that she was the forever North American champion in her eyes, so she loved it. Robert Stone says she couldn't just declare herself the champion, given that she lost on Saturday. So that's fine. That makes sense. I'm loving the fact that they are doing something with both Mariah May and the Vanity Project. I'm a fan of the Vanity Project, and I'm a fan of Mariah May. Clearly, this is great, so I'm glad that we're leaning into this. Good call. This is a really, really good call, and I'm interested in seeing where this could go, and this could definitely work. All right, moving on. This leads us into Ilya LaFleur. He's talking to E.K. Prosper, which I have no idea why they changed Eli Knight's name for whatever reason. And then a guy by the name of Darian Van Dux, he showed up. So he's from Belgium, which is fine. So great. So I'm pretty sure he probably came in through the ID program. So that's good there. And he's basically going to be in the speed tournament. So he's going to be facing off against Eli Knight. That's fine. Should be fun. I like speed matches. They're fun. It's a good, fun 3 minutes, which is fine. I honestly wish that regular matches were 5 minutes and that the speed championship matches were, let's say 8 minutes. Well, no. My bad. Let's say 10 minutes. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, 10 minutes, that's fine. That would be fun. That to me would be perfect. A regular speed match is 5 minutes, and then championship match is 10 minutes. I think that'd be fun. Because they're both short, either way. All right, moving on from that, this leads us into Keanu Carver versus Jasper Troy versus Josh Briggs, triple threat. Keanu Carver gets the win. This match was fun, a bunch of power slams, a couple drop kicks here and there. Keanu Carver's a beast, so he ended up doing a pounce through the ropes, taking out Jasper Troy, and then he ended up hitting, not his finish, but he ended up hitting a pounce on Briggs, and he ended up hitting like a inverted suplex for the 1, 2, 3. I don't know what he calls it, because I thought that the running power slam was his finish, but he ended up hitting his finish, his other finish in the match, which is the running power slam, and so he ended up winning. This is fine. I have no idea why all three guys are fighting. Josh Briggs, what do you do with him? You could call him up to the main roster, but for what? I mean, he's not ready, but you might as well. Josh Briggs has been in NXT for a strong 5 years. He's been in there since 2021, because NXT 2.0 started in 2021, so he's been in there for a strong 5 years. It's time for him to shit or get off the pot. I'm not a fan of Josh Briggs. I would basically put him on the main roster. I don't know what you would do with him, but put him on the main roster. Give him a shot. Clearly, he's kind of ready. You could have him be somebody's heavy. Use him in that manner. But to me, I think he's ready for the main roster. But he could also get cut too. So there's that too. So I don't know. But I'm guessing you could put Josh Briggs on the main roster. I mean, they're not going to put him on Evolve, because I thought that's what they were going to do with Josh Briggs, but he's on NXT still. So, but I mean, to me, that's where he needs to be, honestly. But I put him on the main roster, honestly. I mean, shit. What else is he going to do in NXT? Nothing. You might as well just put him on the main roster. I mean, let him sink or swim. Now or never. So, whatever. Keanu Carver winning was the right decision. What do you do with Keanu Carver? You know what? I could see him going after the North American Championship once Miles Bourne is done with his little mini feud with Darkstate. So I could see Miles Bourne defeating Dion Lennox, and then you have Then you have Keanu Carver be the next guy to go after Miles Bourne, because Keanu Carver needs some gold. He needs some gold, and I think he would look good as North American champion. I think that would be great. That would make a really good division, and that's fine there. Because again, I don't expect for Miles Bourne to be champion too much longer. So yeah. All right, moving on from that, this leads us into Shiloh Hill and Tatum Paxley. They were kikiing backstage. They were talking about their mixed tag match against Mariah May and Jackson Drake. Shiloh Hill said that Mariah May likes shiny things like an octopus or a magpie. So maybe Tatum Paxley should try giving her a piece of tinfoil. Paxley said she hadn't tried that yet. So Ricky Sainz showed up and asked why the two of them are always laughing. And then Shiloh Hill joked about Ricky Sainz getting his ass beat at Stand and Deliver. Okay, whatever. It is what it is. Moving on, this leads us into Tony D.Angelo, Joe Hendry, Ethan Page, and Ricky Sainz versus Darkstate, with Tony D and company getting the win. So this match was pretty okay. Miles Bourne got involved towards the end of the match. He ended up attacking Dion Lennox, and those two ended up brawling, which is fine. Then Tony D'Angelo ended up hitting the Forget About It onto Saquon Sugars. Then Ethan Page booted Tony D in the face. Ended up hitting the Twisted Grin onto Sugars for the 1-2-3. And then post-match, Tony D'Angelo gave Ethan Page a receipt. You know, hitting the Forget About It onto Ethan Page, which is fine. That makes sense. Now, I think Ethan Page is going to get caught up. He does have a match against Tony D'Angelo next week for the NXT Championship at NXT Revenge. I think Ethan Page is ready for it. You know, you put him on SmackDown. He's been there before. You put him on SmackDown. He'd be a great heel, and I think that'd be good. Or you could put him in like a tag team. You could do something with like Miz. I think that'd be good. You know, Miz and Ethan Page, I think that'd be a great pairing. That'd be fine. You could also add in Kit Wilson. I think that'd be a great trio. But it's time for Ethan Page to move on to greener pastures. It just is. You know, Ethan Page has kind of been ready. Same thing with Ricky Saints, but you don't want to just completely fuck over NXT like they did last time when they called up Trick, Oba, and Javon all at once, basically. Like, they damn near killed the brand just about with that. But thankfully, we had some guys step up, you know, in Joe Hendry, Tony D'Angelo, Ethan Page, and Ricky Saints. So kudos to those 4 guys for stepping up. But Ethan Page is main roster ready. He's main roster ready. You put him in the mid card and let him cook for a while, right? Because there's no point in him staying in NXT any longer. And again, WWE is going to be doing releases anyway. So there's going to be call-ups, and there's also going to be releases at some point in April. I don't know when. It'll probably be like the last week in April. I would imagine they're going to end up doing releases. So we'll have to wait and see how things play out with that. All right. Moving on. This leads us into Jaida Parker. Her fine ass was backstage cutting a promo. She didn't really say much of anything too important. She just said she's going to give Kelani Jordan a receipt, and it's not over between the two of them, which is fine. That makes sense. I think Jaida Parker might get caught up too, because she's been in NXT about the same time as Lola Vice. They both came in 2022. And I think that she's ready. You know, Jaida really hasn't had the best of luck in NXT, but I think she's ready for the main roster. But there's also a possibility that Kelani Jordan could get caught up too. But I don't know. But we have to wait and see. But it could be where they both get caught up, if we're being honest. Because to me, both are ready. Both females are ready. Both would do well in the mid-card. You could put Jaida on SmackDown. You could put Kelani on Raw. Well, no, my bad. You could put Parker, you could put her on Raw, and you could put Kelani on SmackDown. Because that would make sense. But I think they're both main roster ready. Jada's been there for about a good 3 years. But I think she's main roster ready too, I think. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, we always say this. We always speculate, you know, after a talent's been in NXT for like 3-4 years, it's time for them to move up. But we don't know. But maybe Jaida gets called up, though. Maybe. Same with Kelani. All right, moving on from that. This leads us into Lexis King. He defeats Chaz Starboy. So Starboy's a guy on the Indies and all that stuff. He ended up getting signed. He's now Evolved and everything. So there's that. It is what it is. Match didn't last but 2 minutes. Lexis King wins via the coronation. Finally, Birthright gets a fucking win. Finally. Finally, it took forever, but they finally got a win. So it is what it is. All right, moving on. This leads us into Tony D.Angelo. He's backstage with Robert Stone. He wants Ethan Page. So Robert Stone said that he can make that happen. And then Tony D kind of stared down Keanu Carver, which is great. So I do like that. That could be fun. That could be fucking fun. I like that. Like, that was like, holy shit. So that could be very, very fun. But I don't think Keanu is ready to be in the main event scene just yet. You know, I'd give him the mid-card title. I'd give him the North American title for about a good 3-4 months. And then, you know, propel him from that. But I don't think he's ready to be in the main event scene just yet. I really don't. But that was a good little face-off that Tony D and Keanu Carver had. All right, moving on from that, this leads us into a mixed tag. So Jackson Drake and Mariah May, they win. They defeated Shiloh Hill and Tatum Paxley, which is fine. It is what it is. I'm not a fan of Shiloh Hill. I'm a fan of his backstage antics and all that stuff. You know, like that taking apart cars and shit like that. But wrestling-wise, no, I'm not a fan of him. I'm not a fan of his work. So it is what it is. The Vanity Project, they ended up getting involved, so there's that. Whatever. Moving on. So Robert Stone, he mentioned a major announcement to Sarah Schreiber, and that is it's going to be a 2-week special called NXT Revenge. So there's that. And then he made matches for that. So that's fine. And then also, Kelly Armstrong, she was on this show. She had another vignette, so she's going to be making her debut. I believe it's next week, which is fine. So that's great. So Kelly Armstrong is going to finally be on NXT television. She's great. So there is that. Moving on, this leads us into Kelly Armstrong. So she gets a good vignette. She told a brief version of her story. Talked about growing up tough and how she had to be on Section 8 and food stamps and all that jazz. So there's that. So that's fine. So I like this. This is great. This makes perfect sense. Moving on, this leads us into the closing segment of the show, which was Lola Vice's promo. So Lola Vice comes out and gets a good reaction. She gets a "you deserve it" chant. She said that she's been dreaming of this moment for so long. She said that she thought that she was ready for the title when she walked through the door. Lola Vice said that she was the biggest signing of the year back in 2022. And there was a whole media tour about her MMA transition into pro wrestling. Lola said that she thought she was going straight to the top. But she got humbled. And she took L's and wiped out. And had to start from scratch and earn her place in the division. Now looking back, she knows she wasn't ready. Lola said she went to AAA and got so much experience, and got as much experience as she could, and took Vice City worldwide. She said the Lola that we see now is ready, and this is a champion that's earned everything. So Jessie Jane showed up to spoil things, along with Fatal Influence. Jessie said that this was Lola's last win that Lola would ever get on her. She's done this all before, and all Lola Vice has done is set her up to become a 3-time NXT champion. So Laney Reed said that Jessie Jane is the definition of evolving. Jessie Jane said that the only reason she was in the match was because of a silly technicality. So Jessie Jane made fun of the crowd for booing her and everything else. She called them losers. She said that she held the title for a combined 286 days, so she shouldn't have to say it, but she wants a rematch. So Robert Stone shows up and said that next week she's going to get her rematch. And then Lola Vice said that she's going to knock Jessie Jane's ass out again. And then Fatal Influence, they attacked Lola Vice from behind. Lola Vice fought off Fatal Influence, and then she ended up hitting a spinning back fist to Jacy Jayne, and then she ended up standing tall, and that was the show. So this is fine. This makes perfect sense. Clearly, Jacy Jayne's going to lose next week. She's going to get her call up. So I would hope they would call Jacy Jayne up, call up Fatal Influence as a trio. I think that would be great. Because there's no point in leaving Lainey by herself. Like, what would they do with Lainey in NXT by herself? I have no idea. Because Fallon Henley's been in NXT for a while, too. She's been there for about a good 4 or 5 years as well. So it's time for Fatal Influence as a whole to move up. And I think that would be perfect for them. You could put them on, I would say, SmackDown and have them do well. I think that would be great. But overall, NXT this week was okay. This was just a setup for NXT Revenge, which should be a fun 2 weeks of NXT television. But what did you guys think of this show? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.